Good morning and evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the Bonnie J. Adario Lung Cancer Living Room and Patient Educational Series. I'm Bonnie, and thank you for joining us. From our living room to yours. We are all living with lung cancer, and our goal is to bring hope into your home. Empowered patients live longer, and our message is simple. We want you to live.
Everybody got a chance to get something to drink and something to eat. Hello to everybody that's signing on via the Met. We're a full house tonight.
I know, isn't it great?
Yeah, it really is. There's a couple of new people here.
New people, great.
We want to make sure that they get a chance to kind of tell their stories. Some people who have been on a little hiatus and have decided to come back.
Yeah, that's good too.
So welcome, welcome, welcome. There's a couple of different things happening tonight. We had originally planned on having our big launch of the 360 program in living room form. What we decided to do was get rid of a couple of glitches that were found last month and do this soft launch one more time. So we're going to start with a traditional roundabout. Everybody can give updates, tell us where they are, what kind of concerns they might have, if anything new is going on. And then we have a couple of questions to kind of pose to you just to get some feedback. And then at the very end, I'm going to ask Danny Gasparini to come up here because she has something she'd like to say to everybody. So I'm going.
Who's Danny Gasparini?
I introduced her last month, didn't I?
She's the lady holding the mic.
Yeah, she's the loud one in the back. So I'm going to pass the sign-in sheet again. If you don't need to put your phone in email unless you do not hear from me. If you do not hear from me, it's because I still can't read your writing. So, so if you could try to, if you're not hearing from me, just try to make it so I can see if you're if it's an underscore, if it's a dot, if it's a whatever. I'm going to let Sally start with that. And then, I don't know if I want to put new guy on the spot. Sally, do you want to start actually too with your...
And I have the microphone, so we'll need to pass it
Oh,
around.
yeah, and I want to let everybody know, because I know last month there was a little bit of confusion about the mics. All the tables in front of you should have a mic for the people sitting directly behind those tables. So
Are we missing one over here?
David can decide which side he wants to choose from.
Okay.
Make sure you hold the mic, or else everybody at home can't hear what you're saying and learn from all your wonderful experiences and hear all your amazing words of wisdom.
And do know that we do have patients and survivors and caregivers that are actually live watching us.
And so
right
excited
now.
to be here. I'm
Yeah.
sure they're all typing feverishly
So, yeah.
about how excited
and
they
they'll
are.
be typing as everybody talks and asking questions and doing whatever, and we'll be answering them, and you'll be answering them as well.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Sheila, all of you know Sheila. She's over there in the corner making sure that everybody online gets answered. So there she is. So Sally.
Hi, I'm Sally. I put myself into an early lung cancer study because I was at high risk. It was an international study, and in 2004, and they found nodules in all my lobes, but said they were benign and they would just watch them, and after 5 years, one grew. So I was very fortunate that it was found very early. I had a lobectomy. My bottom right lobe was removed. I was staged 1A and very fortunate that I did not need chemo or radiation. But I'm watched very closely because of the other nodules, and I feel very, very fortunate to be part of this group. I'll pass this on.
Hi. I'm Rick McCarter, and I'm my wife Tina's caregiver, which has been a really easy job because she's done really, really well over the last year and a half, and it's been unbelievable. So I'll let her talk about it.
Yeah, a year and a half ago, about, I was diagnosed with 3B, non-small cell, and I went through chemo and radiation, and let's see, my last scan, I started having scans in last August, so far they've been no evidence of disease, so I'm in good shape so far. And I'm on Tarceva now, too, for what?
Hi, I'm Beverly. I was diagnosed about a year ago with stage 4 cancer in my brain and in my lungs. I've had 2 gamma knife surgeries, and recently I've had my scans to determine my maintenance program. And I was very excited to be put on Tarceva. And we did it without knowing because we didn't there was never any evidence of a genetic link, but it was just a try. And it turned out that the doctor feels as though I've maintained my situation, that my largest tumors have been stable, and there was enough progress that was made to keep me on the same prescription. So my life is a lot easier being on Tarceva. But I do have to do follow-ups for the brain tumors. And, but I'm doing, overall, I'm doing quite well. I'm very appreciative. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carrie Peterson. I was diagnosed in October with stage 4 adenocarcinoma. I'm having a really rough time right now. Anyway, things are going along okay. I think it's just all hitting me that I'm now done with my hardcore chemo, and this is what life is, and I'm having to make a lot of adjustments, a lot of reality checks. I'm doing okay. I'm on my 2nd round of the maintenance chemo, which is Alimta, and I'm definitely still feeling the effects of the previous hardcore chemo regimen, and I'm looking forward to feeling better.
I'm Carrie's uncle, Jeff, and I just take care of her as much as I can.
I'm Dave Palomares. I was diagnosed with stage 3 mesothelioma in January of 2009. I was diagnosed at Kaiser. On my own, I decided to go to UCSF for a second opinion, and that's when I met up with Dr. Terry Jahan, who put together a treatment protocol for me. So in March, I had my right lung removed. Part of my pleural lining was removed, and then started on a regimen of chemotherapy that included cisplatin and Alimta, and followed with radiation treatment. So all my treatments ended in October 2009. I've had subsequent CT scans, and so far all the scans are clean. So I'm in good shape. And Bonnie has asked me to share with you some new information. I started going to a pain specialist right here in Redwood City. She's terrific, and she has me on Lyrica, which is actually developed for fibromyalgia. However, I have a lot of pain issues because of my surgeries and radiation, and it has really helped a lot. And she's added to it Celebrex, and the two together have really helped me a lot. I'm doing a lot more things that I used to do before I went to her.
David, who are you seeing?
The doctor's name is Dr. Date, D-A-T-E.
D-A-T-E?
Right. She's on Veterans Boulevard in Redwood City.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Do any of you guys want to talk, or are you just going to? I'm putting you on the spot. You don't have to.
DM, turning your head around means no.
This is my Northern California daughter. Yeah, my Southern California daughter is Lisa. She has stage 4 lung cancer. My daughter and this Northern California daughter were diagnosed at the same time, September of 2009, and they're both doing great. She's doing great. My daughter's doing great. My daughter is stable. Her cancer's in the lung lining, so it's tough to get rid of that. So she's just under maintenance. Avastin gets treatment once a month. She had all the heavy drugs at the beginning when she felt horrible, but then she got through that, and then now she's on maintenance, and she's doing fine. And I think I told you last month, if you were here, she went back to teaching last month. And she's got 4 more weeks to go in this school year. She plans on going back in September. So she's doing really good on Avastin. So both my daughters are doing good. And this is my Northern California son, Brian.
The other Brian.
He has the same birthday as my real son, Brian, in Southern California. So you go ahead.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed stage 4 February. Well, I figured if it was there, it wouldn't be too loud. February of 2010. And I'm on an oral chemo now. I'm stable after, I've been stable for a year after 2 rounds of chemo not working. So I just had a scan I think it was last 3 weeks ago. And I am stable still, and I'm feeling good. So now we just have to get rid of it. But I'm feeling good right now, so.
And for,
I guess I'll speak then.
okay, DM's going to talk now.
Are you going to talk?
Okay, oh, she's talking.
I was going to say, you always talk.
I know, but I get nervous with cameras. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
My name is DM, and I was diagnosed 2.5 years ago with stage 3B adenocarcinoma. It took me and my family by surprise because I've been pretty healthy otherwise. Once they did make that discovery that I had the lung cancer, I had some genetic testing that was done, and they found out that I had the EGFR mutation. So since then, they put me on this regimen of Tarceva, and luckily it's been working ever since. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Terry Fry, and I'm here because I have a daughter that is 34 years old now. She was diagnosed when she was 32 with stage 3B or stage 4, depending on the doctor that you talk to. She lives up in Pengrove, and I'm hoping that she's streaming. She got the email, so maybe she's watching. She's probably laughing at me, but
That's what doctors do.
yeah. But she was diagnosed in March 18th, 2010. It took them about 6 months to diagnose her. Her symptoms started back in September of 2009. Because she's a non-smoker and because she was only 32, there was only a 2% chance that she was going to have cancer, so they never thought about it. So once she was finally diagnosed, she went on 6 rounds of the carboplatin, Avastin, and Alimta. She responded well. We were going to go we went back east to get an EPP done, which is taking out the whole left side. But then they found the cancer had always been in her lymph nodes, so that X'd out the surgery, which I'm really glad about because I don't know whether it's a very extensive surgery. But she's still, right now she had a CAT scan done a week and a half ago. She's still stable. She's still considered to be on her first line of treatment because right now she's only taking Alimta. But as our second, if the cancer ever starts growing again, she was tested positive for having the ROS1 mutation. So that would be our next step, is to go, if it does start growing, is to go on the clinical trials for the ROS1. So, but she's doing very well. I do have to say that she does do a lot of alternative medicine, or what they call is complementary medicine. She goes to acupuncture and acupressure 3 times a week, and we really do believe that that's helping a lot.
You're up.
I'm Jim Duran. Excuse me. I'm Jim Duran. I'm a caregiver to my wife, Nita Duran, who will speak.
The last time Jim and I were here was time before last of your meetings. We missed the last meeting because we were out of town. I've gone through all the cisplatin, carboplatin routine and so on, and nothing changed. The tumor that was discovered in my lungs stayed exactly the same, and I immediately had the radiation to the hip because I had bone cancer in the hip, and I was stage 4 from the get-go. The radiation to the hip has been very satisfactory so far. There seems to be nothing else coming of that. I went on Tarceva after having met with failure with the others, chemos, and I've been on it for about, what, a year and a half, 2 years? 2 years now, and it no longer is tamping down the major tumor. The major tumor has come back to full size now. Meanwhile, of course, I have all these little nodules in my lungs. But we decided to do radiation, and so I had the main tumor radiated, and it has once again shrunk. And interestingly enough, to us, some of the small nodules, we've continued with the Tarceva in spite of the fact that the main tumor was not responding to it any longer because of the nodules. So we've continued that even through the radiation treatment. And it's sort of interesting because with the radiation treatment, and the final answer to that question will be decided in about another month, because it takes a while for your lungs to heal and so on, and to find out exactly what's going on there. But a number of the smaller nodules absolutely shrunk in size, not significantly, but somewhat, which was kind of encouraging. So we felt, keep on the Tarceva. Maybe it's affecting those, although it's not affecting the larger one. So that's where we are right now, and we're very interested in anyone who's doing clinical trials right now, because we're trying to decide when the appropriate time comes if we should enter any of these, and I'm not too sure if we have many options really for our particular kind of lung cancer and all of that. But it's an ongoing evolving process, this working with cancer, it seems to me. And I feel very fortunate because so far, except when I was on the hard chemotherapy, I've felt very good. I've traveled. Today I played bridge and came in 4th in a nice duplicate game, so I can't blame the chemo brain thing on it. And
you can when you lose.
Pardon?
When you lose, you can.
That's perfect. Yeah. I'll remember that. But anyway, I'm doing really well, and so I feel very fortunate.
Awesome. Did you guys, real quick, because I know there was some interest in possibly
some people?
Yeah. And you were going to let me know if and when.
So far, it's sort of my computer got hung up for a while. So
okay.
But
we'll let you know.
Okay. We'll keep you posted.
Okay.
On that.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. Tim, I don't know if this is I'm not sure. It's coming from underneath. So.
I'm Penelope, and I'm here with part of my family to support my mom. And Hannah and I found this group a couple months ago and brought my mom and dad here last month, and it's been great to have you guys. It's really helping everybody, I think. So I'll let them talk.
Is it stuck?
It's stuck under the sofa.
That's enough. I'm Hannah. I am here with my mom and my dad, with my mom, and she will tell her story. Thanks for having us.
I get to talk to I'm Philip Stahl, and I'm here to support my wife, and we have my daughters here. And I think my son may be back behind us. I'm not sure, but
I haven't seen him yet.
haven't seen him yet. Huh?
Not yet.
Anyhow, we'll let Christine tell you her story.
Hi, I'm Christine, and I was diagnosed at the end of February with stage 4 lung cancer. I had pleural infusion all around my left lung. Over the course of February and March, they took out about 5 liters of fluid, and I had they call a VATS, which is a video-assisted thoracic surgery done, and they took out the fluid and did a talc procedure. That was towards the end of March, and then I finally got on to Tarceva about 2 weeks after the surgery, and I've been on it for about 40 days now, and I'm feeling very good, and I'm very glad my daughters found this group because it's been very helpful. The doctors that were recommended through the organization have been very helpful for us, and we're really happy to see everything going the way it is. We just came from a doctor's appointment, and they're pretty impressed with the recovery time so far. So I have a CT scan or a PET scan in 2 weeks. So next month I could tell everybody how good that's going to be. So thank you all.
And you said you got permission today to go horseback riding?
Horseback riding.
Yes,
I'm going to start preparing a horse for the barrel race in November,
Nice.
the fundraiser up in
So
Santa Rosa.
exciting.
And Penelope, too.
Yeah.
And you know, November is Lung Cancer Awareness Month.
Okay.
So.
Is there a particular color for lung cancer? Is it the green? 'Cause,
Well,
pink is
you know,
breast
that's
cancer.
a good question. There is a color for lung cancer, which drives me absolutely crazy. It's clear, because it's always been known as the invisible cancer.
Oh.
But we're changing that, right?
Okay,
It's
yeah.
no longer invisible. So we have to work on a color.
Well, because in the barrel race, I was going to wear the color of lung cancer, but I don't think they'll let me ride without clothes on.
Naked.
Okay, without clothes on.
Naked. I don't think they'll let me do that. Of course, might not like it.
You know, honestly, I think they might.
I'll ride on my body.
You could raise more money that way,
That's right.
actually. Naked barrel
Right,
racing.
They would pay me to
Something
put my
think
clothes
about.
back on.
Yeah.
A new fundraiser. I like it. I like it.
Before we slide over, do you guys want to talk at all? Are you? I know some people are sitting in the back because they don't want to, but I don't know about Mary. Do you know?
Mary's getting up. Yep.
Where we go?
Hi, I'm Mary, and in October 2010, I was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. What do I say here? I did 13 rounds of carboplatin, Alimta, and Avastin. Well, the Avastin, the 13th time I just took Avastin because I started getting kidney damage, which I think was caused maybe from the Avastin and the Alimta. My creatinine just went way high. I'm happy to say it's coming down. I'm healing. I had a really bad cough for about 3 or 4 years, and my doctor was saying it was acid reflux. And I kept asking for a CAT scan, and finally it showed up on a chest x-ray. The tumor showed up on a chest x-ray. And so I'm just kind of like want to encourage people that have lung cancer in their family to insist on having a CAT scan rather than a chest x-ray. My mother died of lung cancer at 63. My sister at 61 had half of her lung removed, and I'm 67 now. And I started getting a cough when I was about, I guess, 62, 63. And anyway, when I had the chemotherapy, it really shrunk. It really shrunk my tumor to almost nothing, and my cancer had metastasized to my spine, and since the very first time I had a PET scan, my spine has not lit up. So the chemotherapy really worked on the cancer. And last November, I had target radiation on my tumor on my lung and on my spine, and none of that lit up on my PET scan. So right now, there's some question about some stuff going on in my lung. They're not sure what it is, whether it's just inflammation from the radiation or if a new tumor is forming. So I'll find out. And I don't go back till July. I'm not taking any medication for cancer right now, and I feel great. And another thing I do is I exercise an hour every day rigorously, and I think that's really been really good for me. And thank you very much to this group. Danielle and Bonnie, you're just wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like
I think they're good.
Anybody?
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I was diagnosed with stage 4 non-small cell last October. I was put on Tarceva right away before any testing was done, based on a X-ray and a CT scan. And being Asian, 40s. I had a call for about 4 months before the diagnosis. I was pregnant at the time. Doctor said, oh, it's just acid reflux and allergy. Gave me a lot of allergy. And right after I gave birth, the cough was a lot worse and persistent and sweats. And so he decided to give me a chest X-ray. And immediately there was a huge mass. And we moved to CT scan and so forth. So I've been on Tarceva since day 1, and it's been working out really well for me. So far what I've done is exercise and eating pretty light on meat and mostly vegetables and so forth. The cancer is under control, and the CA level is not minimal now, down to 3 or 7. Oh, 2? It's down to 2 now. Okay. It's been dropping every visit, so it's been great. So what's going on in my life right now is we're in the process of switching insurance. So we're not sure if new insurance carrier will cover Tarceva and the ongoing treatments and choices of between a PPO versus an HMO. So I don't know if anyone of you have experience dealing with switching insurance, and so that I would love to hear some of your experience on that.
Orrin, I think you have one in front of you. There you go.
Yeah, okay.
Hi, my name's Orrin Walker. I was diagnosed with stage 4 adenocancer of the lungs, and it was in the brain. Had 2 tumors about the size of my thumbnail, which is quite large. I went through chemo, not chemo, but radiation therapy on the brain, and then I went to chemo. I was doing really well, but by the 5th chemo treatment, my blood count was very low, so they decided to give me some time off. So I took 3 months, and we went to the Philippines, and we went back to Missouri, where I'm from. We had a good time. The good thing is the brain cancer is pretty much gone. The diagnosis is it's 99% gone. There's nothing showing now. Just they say white stuff. In the lungs, it's a different story. After the hiatus, I had a couple of adenoid glands that they had grown just like 3 millimeters, which is nothing, but they had grown. So they put me back on chemo maintenance. So we'll see what happens with that. But in the meantime, when I went to Missouri, I decided I'm going to get myself a camper, and I bought one back there, and it's a travel trailer. And drove back there, and the wife went with me. It's 3,000 miles or 2,000 miles in 3 days driving. And when I got there, it was 10 o'clock at night. I was tired. And so I just went to bed, period. And I woke up 3:30 in the morning with this tremendous pain. I heard what sounded like an explosion and all kinds of stuff. And I asked my wife, well, who was hurt? She said, nothing. I haven't heard anything. So I went to the doctor the next day because the pain didn't subside, and they found a broken rib, which is weird, but then they also told me that I'd already had 8 broken ribs. So, and my doctor didn't tell me that, but it was in the X-ray. So, and I go to Kaiser. So you need to be careful. But other than that, I'm doing well. My strength is back pretty good. I'm walking real good. We're getting ready to take off again if we get a chance. My oldest grandson graduates from high school in Bellingham, Washington. And then I got to see my other grandkids in Nebraska.
You have to tell them really quick about your awesome crab catch. Accidental, of course.
I'm sorry?
The crab catch, where you think you broke the first rib, but you weren't really sure because you were too excited about it.
I went to Alaska last summer fishing in August, and we would go out and fish for salmon every day, and we caught our limit every day. So we'd come back, clean our fish, then take the fish heads and guts and everything and go out and fill the crab traps and harvest the crabs. Well, the first day we went out, the guys had left from the previous group had left their crab traps full. So, we did real good, but then there was this old crab trap that looked like it had been there for years, and it had all this, what is it that grows on
algae
Well, it's not seaweed, but it's barnacles, yeah. It was just covered with barnacles. And my friend I went with is 20 years younger than me. He's a union marketing agent. But anyway, he couldn't get this trap in because we pulled it up. And I said, okay, I think I know what we need to do. You sit down, I'll pull it in. I pulled it in, but as I was pulling it in, my back made a large popping sound. So I think that's where I broke one of my ribs. And then, after that, when I got home, I was really sore. So that's how I found out I had cancer. I went to the doctor.
Well, look at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Again, caught, how many crab did you say were in there?
Right.
Yeah.
Like a ridiculous
We had a
amount of crab.
tremendous fishing trip. I came home with 75 pounds of salmon fillets, frozen.
And that, by the way, is early detection for lung cancer.
Yeah.
That's all we have right now. Go crab
Yeah,
fishing
all you have
and
is,
break a rib and get an X-ray and be diagnosed with lung cancer.
Pain. I suffered a little coughing before that, but it was mostly pain. Next. This is my caretaker, and I wouldn't make it without her. It's my wife, Cecilia.
Hi. My name is Cecilia Walker, and I'm now a full-time caretaker since May 1st.
He looks like he's a lot of work. Yeah, right.
Sure. That's it? Okay.
My name's Elizabeth Lacasia. I was diagnosed, I believe, my chemo memory doesn't serve me so well, so.
Leftover from
I think I was initially diagnosed in 2006. It took almost over a year to get diagnosed because I too was told that I had acid reflux or allergies and these sort of things, and all they needed to do was a bloody x-ray. So by the time I was diagnosed, my tumor was the size of a ping pong ball, and I was coughing so much that I had to prop myself up at night in order to be able to breathe very well. So I went in, they basically did an x-ray, and they did some other tests, and whisked me in and whisked out my lower left lobe lung, and I was told that I was lucky and that I was cured and that I didn't need an oncologist and all of that. Well, unfortunately, about 18 months later, my cancer came back and went into all my lungs, all 4 lobes. I'm stage 4. I then had a wedge resection at that point, and shortly after that point, I started on chemotherapy, which was carboplatin, Gemzar, and Avastin. And I continued on that for a certain period of time. But at the same time, I also, after a while, got a second opinion. And I started finding out about some of the new alternatives that were coming into the market. And one of the biggest things I found out about was genetic and molecular testing. And so my second oncologist strongly recommended it. And my first oncologist was kind of resisting and fighting against it and that sort of thing. But what I realized after I was able to successfully get the genetic testing done was that if I had known before having my starting chemo, the first round, that the chemo that I was put on in the first try, the first combination, the most toxic of the 3, was also the one that my tumor was resistant to. So I essentially had to undergo, a very arduous chemotherapy, and one of which was totally ineffective. So my cancer started progressing. I immediately changed to my new and current oncologist, who I think the world of. I honestly credit him for saving my life. I am a firm believer in participating in clinical trials. I'm also currently on a clinical trial right now. I'm completing my 41st cycle. My clinical trial included Alimta and Tarceva. I, too, was having some issues with my creatinine level starting to skyrocket, so much so that they pulled me off of the Alimta, and now I'm only on the Tarceva. And I've been on the Tarceva for about 4 months now. My oncologist was pretty nervous about that because he was afraid of the cancer coming back. But so far, knock on wood, nope. I am complete response. What was called ground glass opacities have basically not completely disappeared, but my lungs are extremely clear for somebody who has stage 4 lung cancer and stable. I also, since then, have developed COPD and asthma, and strongly suspect that that is probably because of the damage and the scarring and everything like that from the cancer and the damage that it did. So it has certainly been a learning process. I'm very grateful to be here, and I hope that this is just an incredible forum where all of us can learn from one another and share, albeit anecdotal information. We can still share what works for each other, how we get through some of the symptoms, how some things that some people see and experiences are similar, and it is a great way to help one another and realize that you are not alone in this experience. And somehow I find comfort from that. So anyway, thank you, Bonnie, so much for creating this forum and helping to advance molecular and genetic testing as well as your biopsy repository. I think it makes an incredible advance for those of us that are living with this disease, let alone those who follow behind us and hopefully learn from our experiences.
And thank you, Elizabeth, but to Elizabeth's point, by coming to this forum, and, there's a reason we call it the living room, because if you listen to everybody's stories, we're living here. We're living with cancer, but we're traveling, we're having birthday parties, we're living. And Elizabeth found her second oncologist because she was here and came here. She got molecular testing because she learned that here. And the goal of the living room is for people to share their stories and learn and become empowered and take that information back to their doctors and really demand state-of-the-art treatment and care. And what you share with each other here is so important in your journey and in continuing to live with this disease. So
I think your point about being your own advocate was something that I think surprised me the most, was that here I was going through this very arduous experience of not finding a specialist who focused on lung cancer for a long time, but let alone feeling that I had to fight the system and demand that they give me drugs to boost my white blood count in order to take the next chemo because they just had overseen it or whatever. And I felt that in my first experience, and I'm no longer at that institution, but I felt that I literally had to be very proactive and finding out, well, what are the new treatments, you know, what are the side effects, how do I, you know, maintain my body as well as I can. And I didn't really find that help at all coming from the physicians, and I don't think it's necessarily their fault, it's just that there's so little information. And I think that's why organizations like this, as well as groups of people like ourselves just sharing information, we can help one another, because I got so tired of people telling me, well, I don't know, because I used to be in biotech, and one of the things that I think scared me the most was I was actually working on some very deadly cancers. And so when I found out about my diagnosis, I started doing some research on PubMed, which publishes clinical trials, and at that time there was only one publication on my disease, which is very rare. I'm a non-smoker, was 40-something when I was diagnosed. I have adenocarcinoma. Bronchioalveolar carcinoma is essentially the majority of my disease. There was one single published study, and they basically said the only option people with this disease had was surgery. Otherwise, the outlook was very dire. So, being in the field and seeing these sort of things and just realizing that there's such a need for information to be shared about this disease, and to see the strides that have happened even since I've been diagnosed just really take my breath away. You know, the genetic testing, the molecular testing, the new diseases, the new treatments that are coming out like ROS and EGFR and all these sort of things. Even though, in my circumstance, even though I did get the molecular and genetic testing, I did not test positive for a lot of the treatments, and I think I'm essentially referred to as a wild type, I believe. But go figure, you know. Yeah. But my oncologist, fortunately, took a gamble and took a risk, and he says, you know, I think I've seen your profile before, and even though you don't seem to respond to EGFR or Tarceva related drugs, I want to do this combination because I think it'll work. And God love him, it did. And I'm here to enjoy the day and look forward to many others, hopefully.
You're going to.
I guess when I first got it, well, I'll have to get it, I had this pain in my back all the time. And so I went over to Hayward, where they have a college for chiropractors. And I thought this would maybe get rid of the pain, but he insisted before they could do anything, give me anything, do anything, that I had to have an x-ray taken. And I kept saying, I don't want another x-ray. I get x-rays of my teeth. I get x-rays for the everything. I mean, it's just, I feel like I glow in the dark already, and I don't want to do it. And he says, well, then you don't want me to do work on your back. And I said, okay, finally, let's just get it done over and over with. Well, he did use the x-ray and used the machine and went up, or disappeared, and came back, and he said, I'm not going to do anything for you. I want you to go directly, right now, from here. I've written down what we've done, why we've done it, and go to your primary doctor. And we did just that because it scared me to death. I thought, what is it? She says, I don't want to talk about it. Let's, we'll let a doctor look at it. Well, it turned out that I had, anyway, long story short, it turned out that I didn't have anything wrong with or I still have the same thing that hurt then, hurts now. That was not the problem. The problem was that when they saw the cancer, they freaked and said it looked like it was a large mass in my lower right side, which is the small one, and they were going to take out that whole small lung section, the whole thing of that, anyway, that part. This was done on June the 1st in 2009, so I'm, almost 4 down the road. I've had no problem since. I do get CT scans every year. First it started for 6 months. Now I'm on a year program. I still say I think I glow in the dark. Yeah, like most of the people in here. So, but I never really had an oncologist until way past the whole thing, in that mine, what he told me when I went in there, he says, because he had been recommended as being really the best one around, et cetera, and he says, but I'm retiring in December, and this was like in October. I had 4 months of having chemo, and all my hair fell out, and then it came back in little bitty curls all over my head, and then they sort of fell out, and I got straight hair, and so it's been interesting, if you can call it that. But anyway, you ready to take over and tell them some truth?
Yep. That's all right. I can get there. My name is Peter. This is my wife, Marjorie. She didn't introduce herself, but that's what her name is. I'm her caretaker. I've been doing that for some time. How about 37 years, dear? We've been doing it. She says that there's nothing wrong, but I say she has chemo brain, because you saw her presentation where she couldn't remember the words and things and so forth, and I sat here and tried to prompt her. And I do that all the time for her because I love her so much. What was that? Ooh.
I just think you're adorable. I'm just laughing with you, laughing with you.
But I'm going to reveal something tonight that she doesn't even know. I went to my urologist this week for a checkup, and my PSA had doubled since the last time I went. And he said, oops, we can't go this long. You're coming back in 6 months. Now, for those of you that are not aware, PSA measures prostate cancer, which I had and still have. And I went through radiation for many times, never had chemotherapy, so fortunately I didn't have to go through that nonsense, but going to the hospital and have that going over you, trying to hit the right spot was fun. So Danielle's heard this before, but you hadn't, Bonnie. So
no, I have not heard this.
So I'm a survivor as well.
Okay, awesome. 2 survivors. You have your mic in front of you.
I guess I'm the patient and my husband does the talking for me, so I will let him take over. I'm Oral Dub, he's Hugh Dub.
Let me clarify. At home, I do absolutely no talking. And
that sounds like you're married.
46 years, not a short time like 37. But in any event, Laura was diagnosed with stage 4 adenoid small cell lung cancer around about September, October of last year. This surprised the hell out of us because we've been hiking around, walking around on top of Pikes Peak in August and feeling just fine, both of us. So anyway, after
we're hearing this mic doesn't work, so we're changing out the mics for you.
Oh, get to start over.
Okay, well, the people back home lost on some things, I'm afraid. Good. I was wondering if it was working. I couldn't hear the echo on it. in any event, Laurel is going through 6 stages of mixed chemo. That's Alimta and carboplatin, because she wasn't possible for her to take the third ingredient they usually use. Complete success. She was completely free of lung cancer, and they put her on just Alimta for maintenance chemotherapy. She had 2 sets of that.
2, 3.
Maybe 3, and so I do get corrected. And then they did a PET scan, and it turned out the cancer was coming back a bit. Luckily, she is EGFR, or her cancer is EGFR positive, and so we're going to start on Alimta in the process of doing that.
And Tarceva.
Tarceva, rather, on Tarceva. We have to get this okayed for our insurance, so they're in the process of doing that, and we figure by next week she'll start on the Tarceva.
And see, the good news would have been that they tested her for her molecular profile before they started her.
They did.
A long time ago. And she wasn't EGFR positive then?
No, she was EGFR positive.
Okay.
But they said sometimes that the Alimta will work for a long, long time.
Okay.
And we might as well treat it like you have a shotgun with 2 different barrels.
Okay.
And so you shoot the one that's less
Okay.
likely to be good, but might give you some extra time and feeling
Okay.
good.
Okay.
And I agreed with the oncologist on this. My own background is in the sciences, so and she even went to the same school as I did. So
Okay.
so how could I think no?
How could you say no?
So she went through anyway the 6 weeks. It did really great. She's in 4th stage, if I didn't mention it.
Okay.
In the original diagnosis, she has some cancer in her liver, some in the bones, a little bit in her right lung, which is growing for the first time that we've noticed on it. And so we're going forward with this thing, and we have good hope that the Tarceva will do a good job for her.
Okay, good.
I'll introduce my friend Tom Grabinski, and I'll leave him talk, but basically his mother has very recently been diagnosed, like today or yesterday?
A few days ago.
A few days ago, with small cell lung cancer. She lives in Detroit.
Okay.
And so if anybody knows some really good consulting oncologists in Detroit, I mentioned to Danielle earlier, we'd like to know about them.
On it.
Tom?
Yep.
I'm not sure I can add to that. I've known Hugh and Lowell for 30 years, and it's been a great relationship. My mother recently had been diagnosed with small cell lung cancer, and so she had her PET scan today, and the prognosis or the results and the report from the PET scan are not in yet, and so not much is known other than small cell cancer. Her first meeting with her oncologist is on Thursday, so that's where we are.
And Tom's going to make sure to get a hold of me so we can make sure all the
Yeah.
right things are happening.
Okay. And we can definitely get you hooked up in Detroit.
So a couple of comments for some people online before I go back to a couple of things that I've been taking notes on. Jane and Reed are saying hi to to Mary and Ray because they always sit next to you. And they're drinking wine. They just want everybody to know.
Okay.
Watching, and they miss everyone. They're up at the lake, so they're very happy to be there.
Which is a good thing. Right.
Jane's getting her 2nd round of Avastin on Monday, working out and getting back into shape. They miss everybody. Bob, who was on last month, said everybody looks so good. Let's all go horseback riding in the buff. It'll start a new movement. He's pretty sure. Wells, who is a 13-year survivor and also the chair on our scientific advisory board, is on. P.S. Love for you all to watch his new video that's on our website. But he wants to know if anyone's heard of Maker's Mark for lung cancer, because apparently.
And well, that's Wells, and we really think that that's part of the reason why he is 13 years stage 4 on Iressa, which is a drug that's been really put on a shelf. But he takes it religiously with Maker's Mark.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Hey.
And then Joe Gaeta from Atlanta chimed in that
hey, Joe.
Woodford Reserve Double Oaked just got FDA approved. Diane Jordan in Texas. This all got to be, apparently lung cancer survivors are all a bunch of alcoholics is what's going on.
Diane Jordan in Texas is one of our biggest cheerleaders, and she's raised
amazing.
the biggest run, the biggest team for our 5K run recently in Dallas, Texas. So go, Diane.
She's great. But a couple of notes I was taking, and a couple of things that I wanted to go back to. I actually wanted to start with Carrie, and I don't want to put you on the spot. You can tell me to stop if you don't want me to go any further. But I know you're struggling right now, and I just wanted to know if there's anything I personally or anybody else here can do to get you past this point, because you will get past this point.
My taxes. I've got a list of stuff.
You know what? That's easy. We could do that. Yeah, we'll do that.
I'm brainstorming, and I've also been going to yoga and some other classes and such. So things like that are good. Routines in a good structure. That's helpful.
What do you feel like is your biggest struggle right now?
I think I'm just having trouble looking forward. I can't go back to the life I had before all this chemo. And so I'm trying to redefine what I do and how I'm doing it, and I feel like I'm tired, and it's this cycle of being tired. So I'm sleeping a lot, and that's depressing, and then it's just this cycle. So I think if there are ways people have found helpful, I know that Tina mentioned her exercising daily and things like that.
Carrie, Elizabeth, Brian, Diem, I can think of so many people, the very first time they come here, they're saying exactly the same things. And maybe if a couple of you can say something inspiring to Carrie about how hopeful you are now and how you are looking forward, that would really help her.
And I think just to that point, I think it's important that you know, Carrie, that you're absolutely allowed to have those days where you're just like, you know what, cancer sucks, and I don't want it, and I wish I didn't have it. You're allowed to have those days. You just can't live in them, because that's when you get in trouble, right? So there's not a person in this room, I'm willing to bet, and including my mom, who's probably a better person to be making this statement, that can't tell you they have those days, but that there is light at the end of the tunnel on those days, and that's where I'm going to leave it to them to tell you about those dark hours and how you kind of get through them. Yeah. Whoever wants to chime in with a microphone, please.
Elizabeth, you're a perfect example, because
you a number of rough days.
Right.
Yeah. Especially, when I was on my Olympta and Tarceva, my creatinine was going to hell. My intestines were going up. I was having edema, all these sort of things. I think actually when I was on the carboplatin Gemdar and Avastin was the hardest, because the chemos really affect your brain too, literally, and your emotional cycle. And I started kind of seeing that, especially when you were in your treatment, there were certain days that were definitely rougher than others. And you just have to say, man, this is going to be a black day, so I'm going to rent the happiest movies that I can, or have a friend come over and play cards with me, or someone just hold my hand, and it's okay that I cry, because that is what you're feeling. There's no reason why to put on this bullshit happy face when your world is coming down. Yeah, when your world is coming down, and it's like, how did I get this disease? All this why me sort of things. It's perfectly valid, and it's okay, and it is normal to be feeling what you're feeling. I think what helped me at times was kind of knowing and allowing myself to have those times, but able to find ways to kind of help pull myself out, whether it was through friends or movies, or even getting out and going for a walk, even just out and about. Amazingly, just even if you're able to go a block, to get out and to kind of take some deep breaths and listen to the birds sing or something like that. Or if you're interested in gardening, maybe gardening. Something that I found out about at Stanford that was a wonderful, wonderful thing is they have a Writing Through Cancer group. And I'd never had done any creative writing at all. It was always business writing and, you know, about diseases and drugs and all these sort of things. But I finally allowed myself, it was kind of like, if not now, when? You know, allowing yourself to really explore the things where, you know, if you find the fulfillment, or if it brings you some level of gratification, finding something like that. And it was hard to go to the group sometimes, but honestly, the group was so understanding. And again, it's people that have been where you're at, and that you can be honest with them and not worry about putting on a happy face for your spouse or your family or whoever. It's just kind of relieving, and I found it surprisingly freeing to be able to write. And I, for a very long time, and even now, I'm not able to necessarily write about cancer, but to write about other things that brought me joy. You know, I started writing about stories when I was young and things that I remembered. And so when I see my dad, I kind of read them, and it's just little things that you can share. You know what I'm saying? Or even just, you know, I saw a fly, and so I started writing about a fly circus or something, just crazy, silly stuff, just something to kind of joke, or you know what I'm saying? Just something that kind of helps you lift your spirits.
When Elizabeth was in your shoes, early diagnoses, right where you are today, we would be in this room. We didn't have the nice hardwood floors, though. And she would say, you know, my husband wants to go on a trip. You know, he wants to build me a new house. And she had her whole life on hold. No, we're not going to do this. I can't travel. I can't.
I was just married 2 years
And guess
before.
what? Yeah. And she's done it all. When we said, oh, so when are you going to go on the trip? When is a good time? When is a good time to go?
Right.
So she went on the trip. They built the new house. They're living in the new house. And, you know, I'm going to let Brian talk now. Brian, I'm going to put you on the spot because Brian walked in this room, I think, 2 days after he was diagnosed, or the same day, or some uncanny, incredible moment.
Yeah, it was like, I think less than a week. It was my birthday, no less, and I just found out. And I definitely agree with Elizabeth that getting out helped me. I was diagnosed, my son was 4 months old. It was very similar to your story where I had a cough all through my wife's pregnancy. She actually had to go into a different bedroom. But I always, I left the house and took him to the park every day, and it always made me feel better. Even, I did not want to go at all a lot of the time, but it always made me feel better getting outside, getting some exercise, you know, the fresh air and everything. But it does get better. I mean, I consider myself really lucky. I got through chemo and everything pretty well. I didn't have too many side effects, but I just think my son was always there, and I always kind of focused on him and never, I don't know, kind of never thought too much about what I was going through. I mean, I definitely was upset, and especially being with him all the time, it was really hard to think about the future and everything. But, you know, yeah, I'm not sure what else to say. I mean, it's...
But here you are in the future.
I mean, I feel good now, and yeah, and it did take me a long time to look forward because, you know, because just until this group, everybody was saying that there wasn't going to be too much of a future, you know. So, but yeah, I do feel really good now, and I honestly, you know, feel better. I don't know how long it's been because I was coughing and so uncomfortable and everything from what I had, and no one knew what it was. Again, I was same thing, a year. I'd gone to the doctors almost a year to the month before I was diagnosed, and they'd put me on 2 inhalers and everything. It was just, you know, just crazy. I mean, no one told me that, you know, in 2 years, you know, I'll be feeling better than I did and be here. And it's just, it is good to come here, I think. And then, yeah, I mean, I feel great. I just think it is, especially when you're uncomfortable and hurting, it's hard to get through, but you know, it did get better, definitely, you know. I don't know what else to say. I just...
Diane, the woman in Texas that I was talking about, Carrie said, she wants to know she hid in her house for 2 years and that you have her permission to be pissed. Bob said he was alone in his fight for 5 years, but that now you have each other and you'll get through this. And Pam says she's a 14-year survivor. her husband reminded me that this is temporary in our lives, we'll get through it, and we did. So there's some words of encouragement from people online.
And you have us, Carrie, Elizabeth, and you know, so many people in this room. DM, you know, I've gotten calls from people on the cliff, you know, and it's almost kind of ironic. You know, they're on the cliff ready to jump, and it's like, no, 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 don't jump. Stay here and have lung cancer. You know, let that take you out. Don't jump off the cliff. But it's, you know, we are family. And birds of a feather do flock together. And we do all know. We get it. We really get it. And most importantly, we are living and we are looking forward. Because, you know, there's always a tomorrow. There's always a tomorrow. We don't know what it's going to bring, but there's always a tomorrow.
I remember when my mom was sick early on and having those days a lot. And so my sister and I would go and literally like drag her out of the house kicking and screaming. And she was going through treatment, so she wasn't very strong. We could take her, right? It was fine. But we'd take her out of the house. And I mean, even if it was literally just on the really dark days, like we're walking to the mailbox and back. Like that's what we're doing. We're gonna open the blinds in your room. We're gonna let some fresh air in, and we're gonna take a walk to the mailbox. And you don't remember that?
No, I do. I was thinking of one time you did open the blinds and said, "Get out of bed. What are you doing?"
And yelled. It was terrible.
And my hair was starting to grow back, and it was only like, you know, a half an inch long. And it was red, and it was kinky, and it was really crazy. And that was depressing me even more than not having any hair. Now I look like a clown. And so they took out a flat iron, and they're straightening this red kinky hair, which made it even worse.
Hysterical.
You know,
laughing like hell in the bathroom.
And you know, we're just laughing and laughing and laughing, and then finally I said, "Excuse my French, I know we're on film. I'm going outside. I'm just going outside.
5-second delay.
You know, because you know I'm alive and it's working, and I've got my daughters here, and they're funny. And
but one of the things that she did say that really kind of resonated with me and helped me to understand where she was, because obviously, you know, I can have sympathy and I can be, you know, as empathetic as possible, but I don't get it like all of you get it. Do you know what I mean? I get it the best I can, but one of the things she said was, you know, Danielle, I have to figure out, like, this is my new normal, and I have to figure out how I'm gonna live in it. It's all new, right? Like, none of this makes any sense, A, and it's not the same. So I have to figure out how to live within my new normal. So we kind of, as a family back then, there was nothing like this available. You know, when she was sick, we decided, well, we're going to help you figure out what that new normal looks like and how to make your way through it.
And we did it with humor.
Yes.
When my hair started falling out, and it started falling fast because the tumor I had was on my heart. And, you know, they wanted to just, you know, get the big guns in there. And, I mean, you know, it was just falling out like crazy. And I told the girls, I want to go to Tahoe, because we have a little place in Tahoe, because I wasn't sure I was ever going to see Tahoe again. So off we went. And you know, the hair was all over the pillow. So I told them, I said, okay, let's just be done with this, okay? You know, I can't do this anymore. Let's just shave it all off. So they ran out and bought one of the buzzers, you know, and so
we brought a bottle of
their
booze and the clippers to the bathroom.
And my husband and all the grandkids were there. So we go charging upstairs with champagne and orange juice, and we're making mimosas, and we've got the buzzer. So we get in the room, and they're playing with my head, and they're making all funny things on my head. And everybody downstairs is just horrified. They're just like all sad and horrified.
We are laughing.
We are laughing hysterically, laughing at my head, laughing at the process. And we go downstairs, and I got a hat on. I got this stupid hat on. And they're expecting us to come downstairs like all horrified. But we just actually, you know, there was a bonding that took place, and we've always been close. And we've always been an amazingly close family. And just when you think you can't be closer and you can't have a deeper relationship and you can't love each other more, you can. So you have to break out. You know, you have to break out of the abyss or that dark place and let people in. Just let them in and do it with laughter and have birthday parties. Tina just recently had a birthday party for herself. She called her birthday party, and she had bubbles and burgers, and you know, you have to just kind of, this is a great opportunity to do really crazy things. Do really crazy things that you would never do when you're normal and healthy. You know, it's okay because people give you, they forgive you when you have cancer. It's like, okay, you know, whatever, you know, so take advantage of that, you know, go for it.
But also know that, granted, there were so many, crazy as it sounds, good days during those dark hours, but there were also the days, I mean, you all just heard her drop an F-bomb pretty easily, and when she's, you know, in her ultimate comfort zone, she had no problem telling us where to go, how to get there from time to time, and we respectfully would like, okay, well, maybe we'll try with the humor tomorrow. So,
well, we
it's,
have,
you know,
we like to have Sunday dinners, and now there's 17 of us. My kids, and I have a son as well, and we have 9 grandchildren. So in the immediate family, there's 17 of us, so that's chaos. You can't make reservations to go anywhere because they just laugh at you and go, really, 17? No. So we have to eat at home a lot. And when I was sick, you know, I was always the one that was cooking, and because my kids would come home, and this is where they would just relax. All you moms know this. You know how when your kids come home, and that's what they do. So this one time I'm cooking, I have no hair, I have a hat on and whatever, and they're all laying around, and I'm doing the dishes, and so finally I flicked on the lights and went on and off, and they all looked at me, and I said, hello, I have cancer. I'm doing the dishes. There's something wrong with this. You know, so they all went, oh my God, and they jumped up and started doing the dishes. So, you know, Carrie, what you did today, I love. You trusted us. You trusted us to reach out. And I hope we're making you feel just a little bit better.
Thank you. Yeah, it stays with me.
Okay.
The thoughts from this experience each month have definitely stayed with me.
Okay, good.
A couple more things, and then we'll kind of move on. Diane, again in Texas, if you met her in person, you'd know she's amazing. She said one of the things that she wants to point out is that the pressure to always be positive is exhausting. And I know when you're getting people coming at you from all different angles, family members, people who are just trying to help, and they're always just like, you know, you can get through this day. You kind of just want to go, really? Not today. So she's just letting you know that sometimes it's okay to hide under the covers. Joe, again from Atlanta, wants us to know that he thinks this is an amazing forum, and the content and the format, the people and the Ustream, and he would like to try to get viewing parties done in every city. Bob says, now we're having a party, you go girl. I'm not really sure what you were saying at that point. Jane thinks something is so true, and Whitney says laughter is good for the soul and for the family too. So. Sally, did you want to say something? I saw you earlier with your hand raised.
Want to talk from the other end of everything? I get weepy easily, as you all know.
We know. Sally, by the way, is our mascot, you know, so.
But if anybody's watching out there that was as lucky as I am, I go through a lot of guilt. And I get down because I'm old, quote unquote old, and I'm one of the lucky ones. And I know my oncologist said to me, it's survivor's guilt. So I keep trying to tell myself that. I admire all of you so much. I'm sorry. But if anybody is watching this, just know if you were as lucky as I am and you're going through the guilt, that why me? Why was I lucky when someone half my age is in much more dire needs? Just know that it's normal. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Awesome, Sally. Yes. Yeah. That's true.
I just wanted to add also that, because I've met Carrie when from the beginning when you came in. I don't know if this is on.
It's
or
working.
Not. And, you know, you probably have all said this before, but my life is so much better in so many ways now than it ever was before. And even though I had to get this horrible disease, but the level of friendship and the level of people caring and talking and calling, and just the whole my whole social life is just so amazing, that how many people call me. So, so that's very thrilling to me. And the fact that I can't drive anymore has been a hardship that a lot of other people, but I have found out how resourceful. I have Ready Wheels coming. I have Get Up and Go coming. I have Foster City Transport. They're all lined up at my door all the time. Every day I go out and hire these services. I even figured out how to get it to take me to the ballet, the Ready Wheels.
I'm not sure that's okay.
But anyway, so I just want you to realize that the new Carrie will realize all her full potential.
Thank you. That's great, Bev. Thank you. Anybody else?
I want to say one thing. Carrie, even when you're feeling rotten, you could feel rotten having a glass of tea somewhere, out somewhere. That was one of the things that I think was hard for me, was that when you're feeling really tired and fatigued and really beaten up, you just want to stay home. But sometimes, and I think this was, I think Bonnie kind of said this where, you know, I was saying, you know, my God, you know, I've worked hard all my life and I put off going on vacations, and now this, for Christ's sakes, I get married and, you know, something like this happens. But I did go on a trip, and I'll say that, you know, I didn't always feel so great sometimes, but I really had a good time, and if nothing else, it was a wonderful distraction. You know, you can feel rotten having fun. So, you know, I mean, it really is true, trying to find a new normal. It's tough. It's really tough losing your life and even losing your identity and having to find your way. But do things that you've always wanted to do or enjoy. I mean, you have to take baby steps. You know, you realize that your energy is more limited, and I think you start being more selective with what you do. But, you know, even if you're kind of feeling rotten, just push yourself sometimes, because if nothing else, it kind of distracts you.
We did a lot of traveling after mine, because that got our mind off of where we were. And I think, you know, the one that I remember, actually the funny thing I remember most was when I went skiing in Colorado. And they'd say, oh, you shouldn't do that. And I said, well, what have I got to lose? I might be dead tomorrow anyway, so I'm going. I was skiing at 11,000 feet. And you talked to somebody that said, he prescribed all sorts of things that got bought and brought to me, and I'm sitting there going like, I didn't ask for these. These aren't mine. And they'd say, oh, yeah, they are yours, Mrs. Pitkin. Yours are definitely yours. So I found it, I mean, that was something we could do, and I like to do, is just get your mind off of it. The other thing is I have a whole bunch of hats. You want some? I've got them for when it's straight, for when it's curly, and when it's in between.
I think the key is balance. The key is balance, you know. A little bit of happiness, a little bit of crying. I used to find crying in the shower really helpful, because you were already all wet, you know, and you didn't have to worry about screwing up your makeup, you know, or, you know, just balance is good. A little of this, a little of that, a little of this.
Also baby steps.
Baby steps. Yeah. And antidepressants are good too. They're good. They're really good. I remember going to my oncologist, and you know, I'm always the brave one, and always the tough one, and always the one, I can take this and I can do this. And one time I went to visit my oncologist, and I was bald and all this stuff, and you know, I would never sit on the bed. I always sat in the chair because I wanted to be eye to eye with him. So he said, all he had to say to me was, how are you today, Bonnie? And it's like, I'm just crying all the time, you know, and I just lost it. And I had my elbow on the paper on the bed, and he said, well, we can fix that. And I said, what? And he goes, well, I'm just going to, you take these, and in 4 weeks, you're going to feel just fine. And you know what? I did. I did. If you ever have a reason to be depressed, cancer is it. Your whole body is upside down. Your metabolism is not working. Nothing's working. Your blood's all screwed up. Everything is just not working the way it's supposed to be working. And antidepressants are really good. If you're not taking them, go ask for them.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, good girl.
I'm taking a lot.
Okay, okay.
I just started on thyroid medicine in the last few weeks too, because
Okay.
apparently in all of this, my thyroid's.
Okay, okay. See, a lot of those, they all have a lot to do with you know, the process. So, awesome. And you know, for all the new people that haven't been here before, we always stress that it takes a village to take care of you. Don't think your oncologist has all the answers or your surgeon has all the answers. You need to have a pulmonologist in the picture, you know, because your oncologist says goodbye, see you in 3 weeks, see you at the next scan, whatever. Pulmonologist is key because your lungs have been compromised, your chest has been compromised. You need to breathe. Lots of things that a pulmonologist can do to help you out. Whatever, you know, dietitian, laughter, lots of things. It takes a village, friendship. So don't put all of your beans in one basket.
A couple other shout outs from online. One regarding what you were just talking about. Diane wants to say that Xanax rules. Bob wants to talk just about the guilt and the gloom, and that he hates that part, and that he wants to point out, I think this is what he's saying, is that sometimes it's difficult for patients because maybe their family members or their close friends can't handle it. Like they don't know how to react or how to respond, you know, to whatever it is that you might be going through. And so that's something to keep note of. Whitney wants everybody to know that she thinks it's fabulous and it's just going to keep getting better, and she wishes she could be here. And Karen and Crackers say hello from Gainesville in Florida.
Karen's a survivor from Florida. Hi, Karen. I don't know where I'm supposed to wave. Hi, Karen.
Yeah, I don't know where it is either. Too far behind. Neil, I think, snuck out, but I want to make sure to put out to the group, especially those of you who are into like exercising and trying to get out there right now. He's looking for a cycling partner, so anyone interested, let me know so I can let him know.
Where is he? Where is Neil?
He was sitting back there. He snuck out. I don't know where he went.
Like a real bicycle out on the street?
Yes, an actual
or
bicycle.
One just like sedentary?
No,
Okay.
An actual bicycle.
Okay, I could do the one sitting on the floor.
Yes. Yes, he comes from a very, that's what I told him tonight. I was like, who can keep up with you?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
What healthy person, you know, without lung issues.
But we could watch and be inspired.
Right.
Okay, that's always an option.
And the insurance switch question for Jennifer, I wanted to make sure that if anybody had any information about what that might look like, they could maybe get that back to her, because she was
that's a little
struggling with.
Don't get out of your current insurance until
you know.
Double up for a while just to make sure.
If it's an option.
Yeah, if that's an option. Yeah. It's difficult to be switching when you have a major health issue going on.
I heard Center helps people with looking for.
Okay. Yeah. And you know, Danielle has some resources too that are
experts in the world of insurance.
In the world
that
of
I can
insurance
refer you
that
to.
she can refer you to.
Because I don't claim to be. I can barely get through my own.
Right.
You know. So, but we do have people that I might have
and advise you
and get you the card for. Liz.
If you're defined by Social Security as being disabled because of the extent of your disease, you transition eventually into Medicare. And I went through COBRA because I was working when I was diagnosed, and then I went on disability, and then I went on long-term disability, and then had COBRA, and then went to CalCOBRA, and then I was forced into Medicare. And that's a little bit of a challenge. So I don't know if you're being forced into moving to Medicare.
I'm moving to my husband's insurance.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because there are some organizations that do kind of help you with that somewhat.
Oh, microphone. Sorry. Sorry about that. We just want everybody to be able to hear the important conversation.
So that's a little bit of an interesting transition going through an obviously very, very difficult time. But I think
anxiety-ridden making that transition because you don't know, what you're getting into, and if you have a good plan, you don't want to lose it. And that was very stressful for me to go through that. But it seems to be okay. It's just that none of the medications that you're taking are covered, so they tend to be very expensive.
And that's something that whatever the new insurance is, Jennifer, they should have a prescription book and telling you all the drugs that are currently covered under the prescription and all of that.
Right. And you may be able to put in the drugs that you're taking into some type of thing online, and it could help you define which plan works better. I know with Medicare Part D, I think it's Part D, you had to get a head nod there.
Hugh's
that
nodding
kind of
his
helps
head,
you
like,
with
yes, I know
that.
exactly what
but
you're talking about.
quite honestly, some of my drugs were so expensive, even with paying with Part D, that I actually buy them through Canada. And I found that you get brand name drugs, and it's like what I was to pay for a copay, I got a year's worth of drug. And it just depends on what it is. Of course, I'm not making a blanket statement, but it was something that, after a while when you're taking, inhalers and, female drugs and all these other things and nothing is covered, it's like, holy cow, this is another $1,500 that's just going to maintenance, not even chemo drugs. So that's a possible alternative that you...
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'd like to comment briefly on this, on the Medicare thing. At around the end of each year, they open for a month or two when you can change Medicare programs. We've been just sort of going ahead with the same Medicare program we've had for years. Right now we're with the AARP one, which is, I forget who actually runs the thing. For prescription drugs, obviously. This is a D, Medicare D. I think if you know exactly what your drugs are. Some of them are very expensive. No one has discussed this, but I checked with the Medicare D, and they say Tarceva for 150 milligrams is about $75,000 a year, and you're responsible for 1/3 of that on their current plan. So towards the end of the year, when Medicare opens it up, Medicare.gov, it's time to look at it and put in your exact medications. For example, Tarceva, which a lot of people here are on, and see what will do best for you on that. You can do this for each individual in the family separately and take different plans for everyone if you want to. But normally, you all go forward, but you've decided what works for you before you find out that cancer is going to be a question on it.
Right.
So now is the time. You're getting closer to the end of the year, another 6 months or so. They'll open up some kind of a window.
October, November?
Well, this last year I think it was October, November, but normally it runs till November, December or something like that. So,
Yeah, and the pharmaceutical companies as well have programs for people that can't afford to pay their out-of-pocket expenses and things too. So there's always options, and we can get you, to the right people to get those answers if you need them. Thank you.
Okay. No. I want to ask Danny to come up.
Oh, I am in trouble.
You are in trouble.
You're always in
She's
trouble.
got a couple of things she'd like to say. Danny's been with us since March 1st, right? And she has not missed a living room. Sometimes she sits quietly in the back, although not really, right?
Danielle, is it okay if I do a little introduction to Danny?
Sure, but who's going to let me sit next to them?
Oh.
You know what? I think they want you over here, so I'm going to move.
No, really?
Yeah, I'm going to move because that way...
Well, I could our rear ends aren't that big. We can share it.
I don't know. Mine's kind of...
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to sit up here. You sit here.
All right.
I don't know what Danny's going to say yet, but, she's always surprising us. But before you all leave tonight, I want you to know a couple things. If you have to have this disease, this is the time to have it, because this is a tipping point for lung cancer research. It really is. We're out there all the time, and we're in meetings. We're at the International Association for the Study of Lung Cancer, the Lung Cancer Congress, the association ASCO, where Scott is going to, and Danielle are going to, and in a month. There are so many good things happening. crazy things that we didn't even know 6 months ago. For instance, all of you people that are on Tarceva because you have the EGFR mutation, they're discovering that when some people build a resistance to that particular drug, that all of a sudden they get a new biopsy and they have the ALK biomarker, which makes them eligible to take crizotinib, which is a drug that Pfizer has come up with that's very new on the market and really only, about 11, 12 months old. People that have the KRAS biomarker, just a few short years ago, there weren't very many options. Now there are multiple options. And I think the tone you have to recognize from tonight is that we're starting to see the beginning of this disease being chronically managed. But here's the problem. For every $15 that goes to breast cancer, $1 goes to lung cancer. The survival rate for breast cancer is now 93%. The survival rate for lung cancer is still 15%, 15.5%. It's moving up a few notches. But we have to work on, and we need your help. We're out there and we're having races and we're having this and that, and we've got private funders and whatever. I want everybody to know that $1 helps, $10 helps. I want $20 from 1 million people. That's $20 million a year. That will take us a great distance to continuing to make this an even more chronically managed disease, because we need new biomarkers and we need new drugs. And I'm only leading you into this because I know what this girl's going to start talking about. So, and this is Danny. Danny and I worked together for a really, really long time. And one of the reasons I got the great care I got was I was on the board at Sequoia Hospital here on the peninsula. And I was misdiagnosed like all of you, and at a place in my life, it's like, where do I turn? What do I do? What should I do? I have to make decisions, and I'm just not sure what to do. And I was able to get out of the place I was being diagnosed and get into Sequoia and UCSF and got some really phenomenal care. But Danny and I have been working together for a whole long time, and I'm happy to say we just stole her away from Sequoia. And she works for us now, and she's helping us get that funding. So, yes?
May I ask you a question? I would like to know if you have a list of lung cancer conferences that are taking place in the United States within the next 12 months.
Absolutely.
Because
you bet.
Try to look it up on the web.
Yeah.
It's very diffuse.
Yes.
We found 2, actually, one in Chicago and one in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And neither one of them seems to be what we're looking for.
Yes.
So
okay.
If we had a list, we would know somewhere to start with this.
Yeah. Well, and yes, we do. Unfortunately, they're not open to just anyone. Sadly, too many of them are only for doctors and researchers. We qualify because Alchemy, our second foundation, is a research foundation, and we do our own research. And we have a clinical trial going right now, and we're actually going to be doing a clinical trial in about 3 months with major institutions in the United States and Europe on this particular biomarker called T790, which is to prove that that's a biomarker that proves that you have an inherited disease. It has nothing to do with smoking. It has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that you've got the gene. But yes, we do have, and we've had Terry come to a meeting or two with us, and if you'd like to do that, we can, sometimes arrange for that too, so you can see these discussions and this work happening.
I'm happy to provide you with a list, especially of things that are local.
Yeah.
That they would let you. Of course, it's not free.
We're looking for one particularly, again, results of clinical trials.
Yeah, okay.
And
yeah.
one of the things that I'm proposing that we do here at the Lung Cancer Foundation is do our own summit So you will certainly be invited to that. It's on my to-do list and on my radar screen to invite our key stakeholders, which is a different group than our researchers and scientists. Our key stakeholders are you as patients and our donors and our investors. So we want to do a summit because, as Bonnie alluded to earlier, the amount of dollars that we can throw at this disease gets us to the end of the race faster. And it's just as simple as that. So we need to have everyone understand what this disease is, whether you have been affected or not. The affinity needs to grow throughout the United States and this world for those of us that haven't been directly touched with lung cancer. It's not just for people who have been newly diagnosed. So that's what we're trying to do. So I think that very soon you will find that we'll be hosting our own summit here. And ask that all of you be involved. And as a matter of fact, we probably will have some of you as panelists, because you are actually, as I listen and as I look at the research from just a layman's eye, you actually have more cutting edge experience because you're living it than those that are growing things in a petri dish. So, because you're actually living the results. And I think that your voice is so valuable to the discoveries out there.
To Danny's point, Dave talked earlier about taking Lyrica. He was in pain. He was in pain for a long time, and he wasn't getting his pain managed through his oncologist or his general practitioner or whoever he was talking to. So he took it upon himself to go out and find a specialist in pain management, and now he's sitting here going, "Oh my God. There is a life, my pain is being managed. I'm on Lyrica, which is a drug for fibromyalgia, which you see on TV all the time. I tell Dave now I'm going to see that commercial all the time and I think of Dave all the time. But this is the kind of thing that's happening. And in this summit, we'll have major thought leaders. We are connected to the major thought leaders in lung cancer in the world. And our next meeting, we're going to have one of those key thought leaders here speaking, telling you what is the state of the union for lung cancer, and you'll be able to ask him all the questions that are on your mind.
Sorry?
It seems to me that you somehow have to convince the big pharmaceutical companies to start directing more resources at this disease so that they can come up with more drugs to treat people.
And that's a perfect segue to what I wanted to chat with all of you about, because those conversations are starting to happen. And just a huge shout out to Bonnie, this foundation, because they're the ones screaming loud enough at the summits to say that we have to be noticed. And so I congratulate Bonnie and the whole foundation and all of you for speaking, and now speaking nationally through the live streaming tonight about your stories, because unless we have a voice, we're not going to get those research dollars. And so I'm just going to take a few minutes to give you the hidden story about what we're trying to do at the Bonnie J. Adario Lung Cancer Foundation, so you know that there are soldiers in the fields working on your behalf, fighting this fight along with you. You have the struggle of fighting this emotionally and physically. We're fighting it from a strategic and business standpoint, and we just want you to know that we are doing this, and we're doing this tirelessly for all of you, because you inspire us. We have two initiatives that we've identified, or two of the top-ranking initiatives that we've identified for the next 2 to 3 years. And those two initiatives, of course, are medical research. You heard from Stephen Young, the CEO of Alchemy, last month. And those who are just tuning in or missed last month, you can actually see it up on the website. Alchemy is the Adario Lung Cancer Medical Institute, and they are funding research. They are collecting tissue. They are trying to do collaborative work in the early detection of lung cancer. So we have the medical and research side of it. Last year alone, the Bonnie J. Adario Lung Cancer Foundation gave $1 million to research, just to fund Alchemy and local and national research alone. This year, we have the goal of raising $1.55 million for 2012 for direct medical research. Now, the difference here is the research that we will be funding has to be collaborative. So no closed-door research, no research on behalf of one pharmaceutical company that will not share results. Alchemy is all about being collaborative. So when I say it's 1.55 million, in the world of philanthropy, we might not think that that's very much. But what that really translates is about 9 to 10 times that, because we are doing it in a collaborative method. We are not paying for research labs. We are not paying for researchers. We are saying if you want to be part of our medical research, you have to bring your data and your knowledge and your treasure to us, and we will work with you collaboratively. Secondly, that data has to be available to everyone. This isn't about one pharmaceutical company getting to the end of the line first or getting their drug on the market first. This is about early detection, technology, and everyone must share the information. So it may seem like an easy goal to raise 1.55 million for research, but actually that's going to translate into tens of millions when we look at the collaborations that we are demanding happen in this world of medical research. The second part of what we're doing is what we're doing here tonight, and that's patient education and patient empowerment. We know that of the 250,000 people that are diagnosed every year with lung cancer, the most important thing we can do is educate everyone that it is their right and also a heavy responsibility to understand what can be done within this disease. And so that costs us dollars to put that information out. And so we are here to raise just shy of another $1.5 million for patient education and patient empowerment, so that we can do these live stream living rooms, so that we can put a patient handbook out. I've learned through Danielle that when you're first diagnosed and somebody's telling you sort of have not so grim future in front of you, and they're talking about chemotherapy and radiation and treatments, the last thing that you're ready to listen to is all of the different aspects. And you may not even be told all of the different aspects of treating lung cancer. And so Danielle is in the process with the thought leaders, the medical researchers, and all of the folks out there in testing and pharmaceutical and holistic health and nutrition, putting together a handbook, a step-by-step handbook that will be given out for free when asked for and put out into all oncology offices and medical institutions, that gives you your sort of day-to-day guide to lung cancer. And so, and it will always be updated. It'll be nimble and up to date. So we're raising money to make sure that we have this handbook available, and we're hoping that the first part will be rolled out this summer, so people will have that guide, that resource right in their hands. The other program that we're raising money for is the Patient 360 program, and all of you have been touched by it. You may not even know it. It's identifying a personal patient pathway for lung cancer. And as Bonnie said, there is no two stories alike. Everybody is diagnosed differently, gets there differently, and has been treated differently, because we're all unique individuals. So with that, how do we manage some kind of pathway that we can say to medical institutions and oncologists, everybody make sure that when you're dealing with someone, you're dealing with all aspects of their health, from diagnosis to treatment to holistic health to nutrition. How are you managing their individual pathway? And we're going to actually ask medical institutions to step up and say, I promise to function in that manner. I promise to be collaborative. I promise to have all this information available and ready to every patient. And it's kind of going to be a good housekeeping seal of approval. So you will know when you are visiting Dana-Farber or UCSF or Baylor or Vanderbilt, you'll know if you see that they are participating in this Bonnie J. Adari Lung Cancer Foundation Patient 360 program, you will know that they are paying attention to the whole part of your health.
They're not going to like it. They're not going to like it. But we believe that we can make this happen with you, driving it up. It's not going to happen top to bottom. It's going to happen this way. And at some point in time, they're going to realize that they need to work hard to get this seal of approval, because otherwise patients are going to migrate somewhere else. because they're going to go to where they can get this kind of care.
And we know, most importantly, we need to clone Danielle about 6 times over. We know that the success of each of our patients that are touched by lung cancer is having a direct gateway and path to a patient navigator, as Danielle has been doing. So part of our other fight is to bring on more individuals that can be a face-to-face, voice-to-voice, person-to-person for those that are diagnosed. Because again, all of these kinds of questions come out and they're so unique to each individual, and we need to have more bodies in the trenches with you to ensure that everyone is getting the right pathway. So how are we going to do it? We're going to have a lot of bake sales. Anybody interested in cookies and brownies? No. We are going to do it by enlisting our corporate partners. And this is where we are putting our pharmaceutical partners, our medical technology partners. We're bringing them to the table. And I will tell you very happily, they're coming. I think in the world of pharmaceutical and medical technology, it's just been a hard place to find where to put your dollars. Because if you look in the world of lung cancer in the past, it's been a very narrow focus for people with very narrow agendas. Well, there is no agenda here. So people are finally finding out that 1, we're collaborative, and 2, our agenda is just to fight this disease. Period, end of story. So I think that as we tell our story to the pharmaceutical companies and medical technology, they are coming. You heard Biodesics, you heard Superdimension, you've heard Genentech and Varian. We are all Pfizer. We are all having conversations with these pharmaceutical and medical technology companies because they want to be part of this organization and teach and educate and help empower. They find it most important. Other foundations are jumping on board. We have great individual philanthropists. I want to say a shout out to, we have Tina, who did her birthday party and dedicated, instead of receiving gifts, which I would have said send me gifts, you said donate to the Bonnie J. Adario Lung Cancer Foundation for your Bubbles and Burgers birthday. And of course we've heard from Karen Gorenberg and Diane Jordan and Joe Gaeta. All, hi you guys, I haven't met you yet, but I've heard so much about you and your events that you did on behalf of this organization. Way to go, more power to you. You're raising money for an amazing organization. And of course our board of directors, we ask them to be givers, and we ask them to step up and be a part of this organization. If you have any crazy ideas about how we might raise funds, please let us know. Bonnie's idea of $20 from 1 million individuals, I think, is a laudable goal. $20 and 20 million all go a very long way. We've even have individuals that have placed us in their estate giving, and that is such an amazing thing to do, is to place us in your heart through your estate. And I got to say a shout out to Miss Sally. Thank you so much for helping us stuff our Mother's Day appeal letters. We sat here 2 Fridays ago and stuffed about 1,000 letters. Happy Mother's Day to all of you here tonight, and happy Mother's Day to those of you that are listening in at home, and happy spring. It's a great thing. So we think we're going to do it. This organization has already raised $9 million on behalf of fighting this disease. We have to be a lot bigger and stronger than that, and we have our goal to do it. I think we have a good roadmap to get there. And before I end, I just want to say a big shout out to Peninsula TV. They're the ones that are filming this tonight and have been and will continue. They're a local organization just like we are here in San Carlos. And I don't know if Sheila can open the doors, but it's kind of like the wizard behind the doors. But we've got Rocky behind there at the controls with Bill. And hi, guys. They're back there making sure that our friends throughout the U.S. Are hearing this message. So I'm Danny. Thanks so much for listening. Nobody usually likes to sit next to the fundraiser. And you can look me in the eyes, I promise. I won't ask you for money. Everyone always avoids me in a party. And I will say that caller ID has killed my ability to raise funds, because no one takes my call now because they know it's me calling. So I often have to change my cell phone number. But we're nimble. All righty. Thanks, you guys. Yes.
Daniel make a shout out about the event at the office coming up.
Oh, well, I've got.
So Danny's got it right here. Yeah.
Why don't you do it?
So our summer kickoff event is June 9th. We're so excited about it. It's actually a music event. It's at the office.
Which is a restaurant, by the way, local restaurant.
Yeah, a local restaurant here in San Carlos on El Camino. It's a music event. We've got 3 artists coming. It's an all-day sort of deal. It's $25 a ticket if you know anybody that's interested. Please sell tickets. They're limited. I think there's only 250 tickets. The headliners at this event are...
That's my first cousins alone.
Right?
You don't want the Gasparinis there.
Family, I know. The headlining event for this is a band called Whiskey Dawn, and I've seen them. They're a California band. They're actually from Sacramento. I've seen them several times. They are amazing. So it's well worth it. Anyway, that's one event that is local. We've also obviously got our walk run coming up in September. For those of you who might be watching from other places that aren't local, our walk run series is national, as you know, and the gala and the golf tournament. There's a ton of stuff going on.
And Bonnie and Tony and Scott and Danielle are going to Los Angeles this weekend.
Oh, Danielle's not going.
Oh, Danielle's not going. She can't go.
No, she's
Oh,
not.
that's so sad. Hank Baskett, I don't know if any of you know who he is. He's an NFL football player. His father has lung cancer. He's married to Kendra Wilkinson. Anybody know who she is? Reality show on cable.
Playboy Bunny.
Playboy Bunny, whatever. They're having a golf tournament at Trump International for us in Palos Verdes. And all the proceeds go to our foundation. So things are happening all over the United States. It's amazing, makes my heart go pitter-patter. It's all good, and it's all money that's going to go to new biomarker discovery and new drug discovery and making this disease chronically managed, like AIDS.
And hopefully more programs
like breast cancer.
Because they're few and far between. And I want to actually personally thank each and every one of you in this room for allowing us to bring this to the living rooms of patients across the country and around the world who don't have the benefit of this type of an environment. It means the world to me that you guys are willing to share this with them because it's so needed. So a huge shout out to everybody that signed in tonight in Georgia, Atlanta, Texas, Washington,
Vancouver,
all
New
over.
York.
I don't want to forget anybody, but I know we're running out of time, so I wanted to wrap it up and just say thank you, and really to the 226,000 people that are diagnosed in this country alone, 1.6 million worldwide. I just looked to make sure that my numbers were correctly. This is gonna mean a lot, and the more people we can reach, and the bigger our voice gets. So
it's 450 people a day in the United States diagnosed with lung cancer, and it's 20 people an hour.
In this country.
In this country.
Yeah.
I just
Much
wanted
bigger.
to say that I was surprised to see the other night at Desperate Housewives, their final episode of the season. When the show ended, they broke away to a whole informative commercial on lung cancer.
Yeah.
Yes. And, you know, Catherine Joosten is a good friend of ours. And, I can't help but make a comment on this. And it really bothered me at the end of that show that there was a PSA for the American Lung Association. And I admire the American Lung Association. I think they do wonderful things. But they do wonderful things for COPD and smoking cessation. They really don't do a whole lot for lung cancer. But it left people with the impression that they do something, for lung cancer. And if anybody from the American Lung Association is watching tonight, I challenge you to jump in here and do something for lung cancer. Don't just have a PSA at the end of a show. Do something. So that's how I feel about that.
Okay. That stick has been set in the ground.
Thank you. Catherine called, and she tried to be with all you tonight.
I talked to her today.
And she's going to come up to one of the living rooms soon. And she was sad the PSA wasn't about us as well. But we'll get there from all of you. So look forward to her joining all of you in person. We're going to do it tentatively, June, July, August. But she'll be here when she can, and she sends her love to all of you tonight. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers. Cheers.